Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It has been a minute since I have been here, but I promise it has been for very good reason. Back in October, my niece and my nephew came to live with Giacomo and myself, and that has been a massive adjustment for us, as I'm sure you can imagine. But I have missed you terribly, and I have heard you that you want us back making content, making recipes, and all of that. So first video back, I figured a recipe would be appropriate. So this past weekend I was making granola bars for my 3-year-old niece, and it occurred to me that I could very easily change this up and make a really good protein bar as well. A lot of people complain that protein bars are expensive, they have ingredients in them that they don't like, and the macros are not awesome. So I wanted to make something that was a little bit more affordable and had slightly better macros than the ones that you can usually find in the store. So that's what we're gonna be doing today. So let's get right into it. Okay, so here are the ingredients we're gonna be using today. We are going to be using brown rice syrup here. So this is gonna be sort of our sweet base that's gonna hold everything together. It's very thick, it has a consistency like honey. I would not try to use another sweetener for this recipe. We're gonna be using TVP, I have Bob's Red Mill. We are gonna be using my favorite protein powder, which is True Protein. I'm gonna use the birthday cake flavor, but you could use vanilla or chocolate flavored one for this, and I think it would come out really, really well. Peanut butter, oatmeal, soy milk, and a little salt, and then optional chocolate chips. I add these, I think it really adds a lot to them, and they're vegan, so. Okay. Let's get into it. I'm always so jealous of those YouTubers that have a nice kitchen island. Like, I don't even have a window over here. It's pretty hard to film cooking videos, so I'll look for that in my next house. So I'm gonna use a saucepan and I'm gonna turn it on to medium heat here. And we're gonna start with the brown rice syrup. We're gonna use a ½ cup. Now I sprayed this cup with cooking spray because it is a very, very sticky liquid and I don't want it to stick too much in the cup. So I want you to see how thick that is. And that's gonna go right into the pot. See, so that mostly did not stick. Next, we're gonna be using a ½ cup of peanut butter. And I gotta shout out to Posh's peanut butter again, because it's the best. And we are gonna stir that together until it's completely combined. If I had vanilla extract, I'd add a little bit here, but I don't, so I'm not going to. So I want that to be completely combined. And I'm also gonna add a ½ cup of soy milk. I use the just unsweetened Silk soy milk, so ½ cup. Stir that in as well. Okay, next I'm going to be adding a ½ cup of oats and also 1 full cup of TVP, which is textured vegetable protein. And I'm going to stir this around until it's all completely coated. So the mixture looks like this, kind of like oatmeal. Here, it's about that consistency. Okay, at this point I'm gonna shut the heat off and I'm going to use my True Protein powder. I'm gonna use 2 scoops. And again, this is the birthday cake flavor, so it's super vanilla-y, which is what I like about it. It also has sprinkles in it as well. And I'm gonna stir those 2 scoops right in there. And a ½ teaspoon of salt I'm gonna sprinkle right on the top of that. I'm sorry, 1/8 teaspoon of salt I'm gonna sprinkle right on the top. That's my life now. All right, so be careful when you're stirring because it will puff out of the pan if you're not careful. And it's gonna get really, really thick. You just want to make sure that it's all well incorporated. And then this next part, I like to have wet hands for this because I'm gonna press it into an 8x8 pan that's lined with parchment paper. So I use cold water and I just wet my hands with it. Getting as much of it as possible out of the pan. And it's pretty thick, but that's what we want. Otherwise it's not going to firm up. All right. And then you can take the back of your spoon and start to press it out, but I find that it's so thick that I actually would just prefer to use my hands, but it is hot. So I worked in restaurants for the vast majority of my life before I started doing this. And when you handled enough hot plates and hot kitchen appliances, it's almost impossible to burn your hands. So I'm just pushing this right out to the edges, and I'm trying to make it level so, you know, so it's not a lot taller in the center than it is all the way out to the sides. And if your hands do start to get sticky, you can just re-wet them. You don't have to use the parchment paper, but it's gonna make getting this out of the pan once it sets so much easier. Here's where we're at right now. And then the last step, the optional step, is with the chocolate chips. So I'm gonna get a 1/4 cup or 4 tablespoons of the chocolate chips. If you wanna be super precise, you can always use a food scale for this, but I don't really need to be that precise right now. I'm not in prep or anything like that. But if you are, go ahead and use a food scale. So now the chocolate chips, I'm gonna sprinkle them evenly over the top. And remember, they're still warm, so you have to work kind of quickly or they will melt. Try to just make it so that it looks like it's mostly even. It's not going to be perfect. And then once they look like they're pretty well set, you're just gonna gently press them into the top here. That's gonna hold the chocolate chips in place once it sets. So it looks like this. Now we're just gonna stick it in the fridge for about 30 minutes. That's really all it takes for this to cool and set. And then we're gonna take it out and cut them up. So let's put it in the fridge. Okay, so while that's setting, just a couple of housekeeping things. First of all, thanks for sticking around, guys. I know that like the biggest thing on YouTube is consistency, and we worked really, really hard at that last year. I think we did a pretty good job until, you know, hit the fan, so to speak. So yeah, if you're still here, we appreciate you. Secondly, I really hope you enjoy this recipe. It is such a fast recipe. As long as you have all the ingredients, the whole cook time is honestly about 5 minutes, and then it just has to set for about a half an hour. And although you can use any protein powder in this recipe, could change the macros depending on what you use. I can't say enough good things about the True Supplements line. The whole line is vegan, which is super important to me. They have a natural flavors line, and they also have a dessert line. I like the dessert line the best, which is the birthday cake is part of, but they also have one that has no artificial sweeteners in it whatsoever. All of their vitamins, everything is vegan. They're the only company that I personally work with, so if you want to check it out, I'll leave it in the description box down below, and code Vegan Proteins saves you some money if you're interested in checking it out. So it's been about 30 minutes. Let's check on the protein bars. Okay, so now I'm just gonna take the parchment paper. So I'm just gonna cut it in half and then in 4s this way. So that's gonna give me 8 bars. And I'm using a big chef's knife for this. So first I cut it in half. And then I'm gonna cut each 1/4 in half again. All right, we got a couple that are a little bit bigger. These are the bonus bars here. But I want you to see, let's get a good one here. So they've firmed up. Oh, can you see that? These guys have 15 grams of protein, 26 grams of carbs, and 7 grams of fat. So a little bit better than the Cliff Builder bar, but cheaper, and you can control the flavors that you want. Anyway, guys, that's it from me. I hope you enjoyed this recipe. Let me know if you have any requests down in the comments below, and we will see you soon.